So today we're here with Shaan, and Shaan has been a client of mine for several months now, and he's had considerable success in the program. So Shaan, thanks for being available to share your experience with everyone today.
Absolutely. Really excited for this, John.
Yeah. So my first question for you is, when you first signed on, what was the obstacle that would have prevented you from working with me?
Yeah, I think for sure, I think one obstacle that I was just facing was, that investment, that initial investment that you make, there's always that leap there that you have to take. But when I spoke with you initially, I just felt that very comfortable. And obviously, your expertise really holds a lot of weight too, and the value that you bring from that lens, and that you're continuously updating the course. That, you know what, I thought that I needed to make this investment in myself because you know you one thing you told me from the start was you don't know what you don't know, and that kind of really hit home for me, that I want to cover my blind spots, and to me that's really worth it. And that really overcame that, whatever the cost or whatever the time commit was. I really wanted to invest in myself. And in the initial discussions that I had with you, you just made me feel really good, and that you can help me make that change. And that's why I was very eager to sign up.
Right. And no, and what did you find as a result of working through this program for the time that you've been in there?
Yeah, so I think this program was really great. I like how it starts off by first understanding yourself, really understanding your personality, understanding others around you, and how to build those relationships and interact. And then going into, what kind of career paths are best suited for you, what type of roles and activities do you like based on your personality. So I really like the science aspect behind it. And then going into the very technical aspects of, in an interview, what to do, in salary negotiations, and actually getting the offer, what to do. So it was very comprehensive in that sense, and I think I learned a lot about myself through the process and became a lot more confident knowing about my personality, and about how to better interact with others in different situations, whether that being starting a job or interviewing for a job.
Right. And have you found these things to translate into the actual work that you're doing now? That you recently secured a permanent position.
Yes, absolutely. So I think for sure in my role, even while I was in the contract position, and kind of working with you through that, there's a lot of moments where I think having that knowledge about my personality and how I can really make that shine, helped me stand out as a strong candidate, to my manager's eyes and the organization's eyes, that they want to retain me. And even through that process, I was going through some other interviews and things like that, and that's always a good experience to learn more about yourself and just learn more about what other opportunities are out there. And I think through that process, really, I was able to have a good grasp about learning kind of the cues of how people are interacting, and things like that, which are, we chatted about this before too, about how, especially in the virtual world, everything really matters, and people can be multitasking, but 1 second looking down and then noticing something about your eye contact, right? And things like that. So that picking up on things like that, I think were super important. And that's through the interview stage. I would say in the day-to-day, so I'm in a role that is more external facing. I work with a lot of vendors, outside the organization, and then of course internally as well, lots of cross-functional teams. And having that ability to be an effective communicator, I think, starts with really understanding your personality. So I absolutely saw it translate into the working world for sure.
Right. So it's not only about getting the clarity, but also the internal clarity of that, what your personality is and where to fit, how to shine relative to everyone around you. Sounds like you were able to really capitalize on that.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so I'm curious then, what specific feature did you like the most about the career clarity mastery?
Yeah, so I think just the first process of exploration, right?
Mhm.
Really being able to deep dive into some of the test results, which, I think I've only had maybe limited exposure and not as that in depth. In high school, you kind of take those personality tests and things like that, but it doesn't go into the in depth detail that, those tests kind of provide. And I think that that's really eye-opening. And especially if you haven't done that in a while or really try to explore your personality in detail, that's something for me that's really eye-opening. I'm really big on self-development and always thinking about how to improve. And I think learning about yourself in that journey really is so important. And that was one thing that I absolutely enjoyed. And I think the second part of that is finding then careers and opportunities that complement that, right? And ultimately, that's how you find that sweet spot about finding that satisfaction in your work, by going based on what you really, really how your personality is that can actually match up to something about what you enjoy. So really liked that and how you made it such a good blend of the science and the art to bridge that together.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Can you list three other major benefits about this service?
Yeah, for sure. So I know I didn't attend too many of the group calls, but I think the community that you do build around that, that's something that I really, really enjoy. I think that that's, in the Facebook group, interacting with others, seeing how people internationally are working together, that's actually really heartwarming. And I think there's a good community around that. I would say for sure, I mean, working with you and just your availability at any time, sending you a note, an email, and you always just being there to support with any issue that came up. And I would say the last thing that I really appreciate is the fact that you're continuously working on more resources and integrating, your knowledge of the industry and just what's happening with the times so that the course stays relevant. So top three things for me for sure.
Right, right. And would you recommend the service then? If so, fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said in the start, that investment in yourself, I think, is so important, right? And myself being a young professional, I really think that it's important to learn about how you can better interact with other people. But it starts with learning more about yourself, right? And it's hard to really kind of step out of yourself to see what that looks like. And that's what I think this course really helps with by giving you that sort of bird's eye view and by chatting with you to really think about that. Like, am I covering my blind spots? Do I have any, obstacles that I'm not seeing or any fires around me that I need to put out? And then working towards a plan that you feel really good about, that you feel you're supported in achieving and you have the resources to do so. So absolutely, if you're looking to, take that leap in your career, really find out more about yourself, this is a course for you.
Yeah, yeah. And anything else you'd like to add to this conversation?
Honestly, it was a pleasure working with you, John, and I'm looking forward to continued discussions. I think that you're super knowledgeable, love the community that you're building, and love what you're doing with this course for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.